Good, there we go. Good Friday morning, Geneseo. You're listening to WGRG 100.5 FM in Geneseo, and it's time once again for Let's Talk Geneseo, a conversation about things happening in our community with our city administrator, Brandon Meglin, and I'm your host, Keith Kennett. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. It's Friday, and it's a long weekend.
And I'm sure you had a week of anticipation from last Friday, looking forward to our second broadcast here of Let's Talk Geneseo.
I did. It was a lot of fun, the first show, and now we're transitioning into having guests on, hopefully every week, and that will take it up a notch.
Well, there you go. And Brandon and I were talking a little bit before the program started. You know, as you may have noticed, we still really don't have any sort of like an intro theme, or what have you. That's on our list of goals for the program. And
yes, maybe we should pitch that out to for all of our thousands of viewers right now and listeners, that if they have any ideas on a good introduction song or person to do some intro items for us, let us know.
That would be great. Well, we are very happy, though, to have a guest today. And, Brandon, I'll let you handle the introductions.
Yes, so we have in the studio today Sheila Wygant McGee. We have invited Sheila to be our first guest here to recap a very exciting event that took place in Geneseo. What was it, almost 3 weeks ago now?
Yes.
It was the event that we're talking about is Spook the Loop. Thousands of people came out for it. It was an event that we have Shoot the Loop in Geneseo, which happens, 4 or 5 times throughout the summer months?
Yeah, usually
downtown.
the summer months on a Saturday evening, a car cruise kind of replicating the good old days of shooting the loop in town in the 70s.
So about a year ago, Sheila, Sheila's a local artist here and resident of Geneseo, she had this idea that she brought up in one of the meetings that I was in about bringing Butch Patrick back to Geneseo. Butch Patrick is an actor who played Eddie Munster in the popular 60s TV show, The Munsters. And, you know, it was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. But why and how would you make this an exciting thing? So, she pulled it off. It ended up being a tremendous day, all kinds of events surrounding it beyond the car cruise. There was Lynn Allen that played. Butch did autograph signings, did 2 meet and greets downtown. So it was a really fun day for everybody. So, want to dive into it a little bit more with Sheila on why did you initiate this with Butch Patrick? How did you know of Butch Patrick? How did you contact him?
Well, first I'd like to thank you both for having me on and going over this event. It was a fun-filled event. I tell people it just kind of happened. It happened to me. I came up with the idea because we're in a promo meeting and we're discussing how do we get tourism into Geneseo. And I've noticed that a lot of towns around the Quad City area that have tourism celebrate their local history. And I was trying to think of ideas like storytelling downtown, ghost storytelling about people that lived here. It would be educational too. It would be our history. And Butch Patrick just happened to come up. And I thought, well, he's part of our living history. Let's see if we can get him to come to town. And he was extremely easy to get a hold of. I don't know. I can't take credit for it. I feel like it was a God thing. I can't say I'm extremely religious or anything, but it just seemed like people were placed in front of me that were quality people that could do the job, that made everything go smoothly, and I could enjoy the whole event. And Butch was totally on board. I guess I presented it to him as if we wanted to celebrate him and not the Eddie Munster character. And he was thrilled to come back, and he's wanting to come back again because he had such a good time. So
And maybe, Sheila, you could expound or Brandon a bit on just actually Butch's tie to Geneseo.
Well, he lived here for like 6 months, and it wasn't very long time. But he said his mom was married to a baseball player. They traveled a lot, and Grandma offered him an opportunity to come live with him. And I think it was a little more stable than moving all the time. And he jumped on the opportunity. And he said, even though I was only here for like a short period of time, I have some of my fondest memories here. Waking up with snow on the ground and being able to ride my bike with my friends, because that you can't really do. We're out in California. So that was one reason he wanted to come back. Plus, it's just like a lot of memories. Walking up to the park, holding his grandma's hand to go to the ice cream socials. And that's kind of why I wanted to recreate the ice cream social. And also it was his birthday, so it just kind of fit. So cake and ice cream for Butch, and we were celebrating him. Just kind of fell together.
Yeah. Yeah, it turned out to be a great day. And for those who didn't get a chance to attend, I would encourage you to check out the Shoot the Loop's Facebook page or the City of Geneseo's Facebook page, too, to see some of the images from it. We, at the city, the mayor presented Butch on stage a skeleton key to the City of Geneseo. We had this neat, elaborate little key to the city, but it was in the shape of a skeleton skull on it, too, which was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, Brandon, for supplying that. It was awesome. He loved it. He shouted out to the audience how, he was getting the key to the city, and it was a skeleton key. He was thrilled.
Yeah.
Well, and certainly, though, Sheila, again, to have the idea, and it's also, one thing to have the idea, but then I'm sure there's there's always a fair amount of work, or a large amount of work then that goes into the follow-up and everything involved in actually making that idea become reality. And but again, kudos. I was involved in it from shooting the loop in the car with the grandkids and stuff. And also went and waited in line and talked with Butch a little bit and had some interactions and stuff. And I sensed that too. It seemed he genuinely was happy to be here. And I know the line I was in actually went beyond the what the time frame was supposed to be. And there was no complaining or anything. He was just, hey, come on in. Happy to meet you.
He was gracious to everyone he met. I never saw a bad interaction with him. I had a friend who has a special needs sister, and she didn't have enough money to pay for something that he had on the table, and he just kind of said, shh, hush, this is for you, and just gave it to her. So, he was very gracious to everyone he met.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun to be around, the interactions that we got to spend with him, too. The economic impact of this event from the city standpoint, too, was tremendous. I don't know if you got any feedback, Sheila. I know that speaking with the chamber and some of the business owners, I heard a couple of people say that it was one of their top days of the year as far as food or alcohol sales. Keith, you were in the car line. I mean, I think Zach said they tried to count. They got up close to 400 vehicles that came out to just be in the Shoot the Loop component of the event.
Yeah, and I wouldn't disagree with that. And it's a fairly well attended, and of course, the weather was nice, and just everything fell together perfectly for the day. But there were cars in the City Park Annex, or the new part of City Park or what have you, to where there typically wouldn't be. And you can also tell too, it was a pretty steady stream of cars to the point to where, and kudos to the police department in recognizing that there be more cars that can physically fit into the actual loop itself. So they actually extended the route a little bit to allow for additional kind of cars to fit in and spread things out a little bit. But the response just overwhelming. Everybody seemed to have fun with it. But Brandon, as you brought up, the economic impact is important, but it's just kind of another opportunity to show off our town. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of special things here that sometimes I fear a bit maybe we take them for granted. And maybe you don't fully appreciate, but that when you have somebody that comes from somewhere else and they kind of go, wow, this is kind of a neat community. Haven't heard of you before. It was a chance to just kind of share our town with others, and again, just a great event for that. And of course, now you've set the bar kind of high, Sheila. We're going to be waiting for the follow-on idea.
Well, the day before, I said to Butch, I'm like going, well, I'm looking forward to see how this plays out. And so halfway through the meet and greet the next day, he's like, how do you think it's going, Sheila? And I go, I think it's going pretty good. Because I said I'd either get blamed for it or credit for it. So I'm glad it went the way it went. And he wants to come back next year, too. And he wants to bring his Munstermobile, and I'll get to ride in it, he said. So
Nice.
Well, that's all good.
it would be good.
Yeah.
So a lot of footwork. But, yeah. It did take a lot of energy and effort to come up with everything that needed to come together for him to be here. And I did a lot of writing, a lot of letters of support I put out there, and a lot of footwork, and a lot of my friends helped out. And I'm like, I didn't get a paid dime for this, but the joy that it brought to people was my payoff. And
Sometimes the most rewarding things have no monetary benefit.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And for those who can't see us, Sheila and I are wearing the Spook the Loop T-shirts, which came out to be really nice shirts, actually. And this is your design. Did you draw this, Sheila?
Yeah, and Butch even had a hand in it. He said, put me in the window of Grandma's, where she lived up above the Four Seasons building. And so I stuck him in there and kept him in the car, too. And I go, that's before you left, and you in the cars going off to be in the Munsters. So,
And I wasn't aware of the garb, and it's very cool. Are these shirts available? And if so, how would one go about getting them?
well, we're selling them through All in Stitches, but I hate to say that a lot of the people that are my age or older do not go online, and so it's an online store, and they're unable to really access them like I was hoping, and trying to figure out how to reach those people now that we don't have a paper, things of that sort. It's just like I'm not sure, how to go about that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's something we could put on the city Facebook page, or
Yeah.
somehow we can share that information to make them available easily for someone that might have an interest. Because, it has a nice, picture on the front. I won't even begin to try to describe it, but it is cool with Butch looking out the window, though, of
Historically accurate
Yes.
representation of where he was as a boy.
so that's very very cool, and I could see where that's probably a pretty meaningful thing for him.
Well,
Yeah.
we went upstairs to where he had lived, and he's calling his sister, and he's telling her, well, guess where I'm at? And he told me the story about sitting by those bay windows, sitting out front with his straw and wads of paper, and shooting people out in the street. So I mean, those are interesting little things that he, it brought back a lot of memories for him, and he really enjoyed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, just a great event, and I think not to speak for the community, but I think it's safe to say that the community is extremely appreciative of all your efforts in making that happen, and definitely, we'll see where it leads, but certainly a very impressive start.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seemed like it was an event more for people my age and older, which a lot of events are geared towards the families and, people middle-aged, and we came out in force.
Well, and I'm pretty sure there were a lot of probably some additional views of old Munster episodes on YouTube and
Yep.
what have you for maybe people to either reacquaint or familiarize themselves just a little bit with with the program.
I know we had to check it out on a streaming platform because, I wasn't around, so we had to.
Well, I
check it out
was
on the
Sheila,
internet.
and I remember it. So, that and the Addams Family. Sometimes I'd confuse the two. No disrespect to the, but anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in and talking about this, Sheila. We're going to invite Sheila to hang out with us, I think, throughout the rest of the program and chime in if you'd like, or just hang out and listen to Keith and I go at these other topics today.
I have some opinions.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Again, it's just an informal conversation. But yeah, Brandon, I think one thing, though, I'd like to re-hit again is about if you'd like to contact us, though, if you have some questions or comments or suggestions, whatever it might be. We are not offendable, and we welcome all anything that you might want to share. But it's best to do it through email and through Brandon's email. And Brandon, that email address again is?
Yep, it's bmeglin@cityofgeneseo.com, BMAEGLIN at cityofgeneseo.com.
And that's BMAE, unlike the misspelling I made on my note here. Yeah, so thanks for sharing that for everyone. But yeah, just shoot an email. Or if you see Brandon around or you see me around or what have you, that's an appropriate way to do it as well. So coming up, I know we have some things we talked on last week, but kind of some general things of interest for the city, residents, cleanup week, e-waste, all that stuff. Kind of what's on the upcoming.
Yeah, a couple of things on the calendar. Questions that the city takes quite a bit. Information we put out on the city website, city Facebook page, other social media. Fall cleanup is from 9/18 to 9/21. You can check out the details and which area of the city that you fall in on the city's Facebook page or website. We also have E-Waste Day coming up. That's on September 23rd. Want to point out on that has moved this year to the street department on Chicago Street. It will not be in the back City Hall parking lot. This year, we're taking a little bit of a different approach. We're partnering with a nonprofit called PCs for People. Their mission is to provide computers and technology to low-income families that can't afford computers, that have children that need them for schoolwork, so on and so forth. So it's a neat partnership. So a lot more recycling and actually items being refurbished and reused this year. But we are going to do the event on Chicago. There's been some issues in the past with doing it at City Hall. There's not a good place for a traffic line. And so people have wrapped around the block, wrapped down Oakwood, wrap all the way to State Street. Not a great scenario. So we have kind of figured out better logistically this year at the street department. Also nice because you can pull into the bay there in the street department in case there's a little bit of weather too. So encourage everybody to bring their e-waste to that event. Check that out on the Facebook website as well. There are things that we will not accept at that event, so make sure you check the list before you come. The other thing on the calendar we wanted to bring up was the 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb that is being held here at the Geneseo football field on September the 9th. Very, very neat event. I know we did it 2 years ago. Good way to get out here, challenge yourself to climb the stairs, try to do what the first responders did on September 11th as far as the amount of stairs that they climbed. You can even put on some gear and try to carry extra weight in the event too. So that's at the football field it's from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Check out Geneseo Fire Department's Facebook page for more details on that. They're having a raffle. Donations are accepted. They have merchandise that they're selling in advance of the event. They come out with some neat T-shirts for that as well. So,
and I would encourage and participated that last year, and a lot of the family and stuff did too. It's and you don't need to be a super athlete, or it can be any age. You can climb the stairs. There are even some people that were just walking the track or what have you. But it's really it's a pretty special way just to kind of remember that day. And so yeah, if you participate in it, you will not be unhappy that you did.
yeah, we're going to see you out there, Sheila.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I walk all the time, so the stairs might be a little tough for me.
But again,
Walk
there
the
were
track.
a lot of people on the track too and stuff.
It's a good point, though. It's free. I mean, you could just come do the track and help support the event, too.
Yeah, and there were people there that were probably there for a couple hours, and of course they had firefighters going up and carrying packs and what have you, and you had the opportunity if you'd like to even do that or try it, for a bit. But it really does give, like I say, I just found it to be a real. Pretty special remembrance for the day. So come out and participate in that. Kind of a busy day, though. That's also a planes, trains, and automobiles weekend as well. And I know we'll be talking about that a little bit more next week.
Mm-hmm. Good way to get your blood flowing in the morning before you go downtown for the big stuff.
Yes, very much so. And of course, they had big news in town this week. You may have noticed things running on Channel 50 and stuff. But the and I know the as we shared a little bit last week that we have a speaker here in our classroom that our studio is located in. That I did do an attempt to try to muffle the sound, but they still are making announcements. So I know most of that you do not hear on air. But if we sound momentarily distracted, it's because we are listening to the announcement. But anyway,
we're being summoned to the office.
but it's timely in that as we're located here in the high school and we're listening to a high school announcement. But big news in that Geneseo High School was recognized by U.S. News and World Reports as a 2023-2024 top high school in the United States. And there's several that they have identified in each of the 50 states and what have you. I believe that in the greater Quad City region, which is what we fall under, we were number 2, just behind Pleasant Valley. Although our graduation rate was higher than theirs, just saying. But it's it's quite an honor and a recognition in that, and certainly Sheila's an example or the chamber or what have you, but that Geneseo is more than the city of Geneseo.
Well, I appreciated going to the Geneseo High School, especially when I went off to college, because it really prepared me for being able to deal with the work in college, and I'm like, it made it easier for me after school.
And that's where it ranked very high. Is that, and I think we all know we have a pretty good school system and it's stuff here, and it's kind of nice to have that recognition or reaffirming kind of what we know, and that but a lot of people put work into it's a school board, it's administrators, it's teachers, it's how many countless volunteers that are helping as coaches and tutors and helping with marching band and all sorts of different things that kind of make the whole magic goo work. And so it's pretty neat recognition and a good shout out, of course, not only to the school but really to the whole community.
Yeah. Do you think we should demand a recount with Pleasant Valley being number 1? I don't know.
Well, like I say, the way I looked at the information, Brandon, you could make an argument about, is it? Yeah, they were a little bit better in some areas. We were a little bit better in others, but nonetheless, just to have that recognition is pretty special. So, way to go, everybody, and associated and affiliated with the Geneseo School District and our community.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd like to add, too, last week we did have a discussion, and maybe Brandon can go into a little bit more detail on this, but back regarding our water system, just kind of where we stand insofar as if there are any water restrictions in place. And then the second thing, just to have a little bit more follow-up on that, if you still are having any issues with cloudy water, what is the preferred way to address that?
Yeah. So last week we had a pretty in-depth conversation about discolored water, what causes it, what our infrastructure challenges have been this year with some of the breaks, some of the drought conditions, the double pumping of our systems, short-circuiting some of our filtration systems. We went into all of that last week. I do want to just recap to encourage everybody, if you are having issues with discolored water, and it's a constant issue outside of a water main break or some kind of other alert that you were notified of, call City Hall, 944-6419. and let us know if there are ongoing issues. We want to send water operators out to see what's going on and try to assist the best as possible, even if it's an internal plumbing issue, which they often can help identify. Water softeners, home water filtration systems. Sometimes, these are issues that you have to hire a private plumber to address, but sometimes we can help pinpoint what that stuff is just by coming in and helping check it out. So I would encourage that. Biggest thing is call City Hall. Facebook's a great tool to communicate, express what you're frustrated about or what's going on locally with other residents. But, the city cannot monitor every private Facebook page and account, and we don't want to. So we need to know if there are issues that people are experiencing. Please just give us a call directly, and so we know about those things that are going on. To your other point, Keith, we are still in a Tier 1 water conservation or water emergency status. The mayor is holding us in Tier 1 right now. We were in Tier 2 for quite a while there, which Tier 2 meant there's no lawn watering at all, no sprinkler systems, no lawn irrigation. We've been in Tier 1 since early August now, which means that lawn watering is back, but it's back for only 2 days a week because we are still in some pretty significant drought conditions right now. The water demand is still high, so we do ask that everybody follows that. If your address ends in an odd number, your watering days are Tuesday and Saturday from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. If your address ends in an even number, your lawn irrigating and watering days are Thursday and Sunday from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. So we just ask that everybody follows that right now. We unfortunately are in what looks to be like another really extended dry stretch of weather here. So.
And if not to try not to ask a question that I don't know the answer to, but I actually don't know the exact clear answer to this. But and if you're in a situation though, let's say you've built a new home, or maybe you've put in some new sod or something like that, those restrictions still apply, or is there some sort of procedure that allows for special circumstances?
Yeah, they do apply. There is a variance application for folks that, like Keith just mentioned, if you did just build a new home, just lay sod, some of these scenarios where there may need to be some special consideration, how somebody could be impacted by it only being 2 days a week. Stop by City Hall. We do have an application. It's on the internet too, cityofgeneseo.com, water resources button at the top of the webpage. There is a variance form that the mayor and the chief water operator do look at those applications, consider them for special circumstances if the situation warrants.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much goes through the topics that we had for today's program, Brandon. And again, next week, what can we anticipate?
Yep. So next week we have Chamber of Commerce Director Zach Sullivan that will be joining us at 7:30 a.m. That's September the 8th. We're going to be grilling Zach on all things TPA, trains, planes, and automobiles, big event for Geneseo, which is actually will have already started next Friday. But really the meat of the event is that Saturday. So we're going to quiz Zach and get filled in on everything going on next weekend.
Could I interject something?
Sure, you certainly
not to
may.
get off topic, but going back to the Spook the Loop, there's a couple of people I wanted to thank.
Yeah.
Geneseo Public Library, they were the major sponsor of the whole event, and also Chamber of Commerce for putting a lot of footwork in and helping get this off the ground. So it was amazing.
Well, and certainly want to recognize them, and I'm sure there's many others that were involved too, as you had mentioned earlier.
I apologize for people that I might have.
Okay. Well, I guess with that, though, we're going to pull the plug on this edition of Let's Talk Geneseo. Sheila, again, thank you for coming in and spending time with us this morning.
Thank you.
Brandon, always a pleasure seeing you, my friend, and we'll see you next Friday and talk to you then.
Yep. Have a great weekend.
So this is WGRG 100.5 FM in Geneseo, and we'll see you next week. Radio Group.